Hello. In this video, we will discuss about methods to handle deadlock. How deadlock is handled. There are mainly four things we will discuss one by one. Okay. The first one is deadlock prevention. The first one is deadlock prevention. Deadlock prevention algorithms ensure that at least one of the necessary conditions. So in last videos we have discussed about the necessary conditions of the deadlocks. Okay. So what are those? Mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, and circular wait. Okay. These are the four necessary conditions. Okay. So in order to prevent the deadlock, from these four necessary condition has to become false. Out of these four necessary condition, at least one of the necessary condition doesn't hold true, means it should become false in order to take up this method of preventing deadlock. In deadlock prevention, one necessary condition have to become false. However, most prevention algorithms have poor utilization and hence result in reduced throughputs. When you are having poor resource utilization, then obviously when resources are more and proper utilization is not there, then it will definitely result in less throughput. It is one of the disadvantages. Okay. Then how about these four necessary conditions? I have told that one of the conditions should become false. How these one of the conditions become false? We will see one by one. So these are the four conditions, necessary conditions. The first one is mutual exclusion. Okay. What is meant by mutual exclusion? In mutual exclusion, what happens? There will be one shared variable. Okay. One. That shared variable is used by many of the processes, and that shared variable is located in the critical section. Wherever shared variable is there, that region is called critical section. So all the processes which wanted to use that particular variable can go to the critical section, can use that variable, and then they can come out of the critical section. This is how happens in mutual exclusion. Okay. So here in order to make it false, there should be no shared variable. If no shared variable is there, then any process can get into the critical section and any process can take up the or use the shared variable. So how it is preventing deadlock means, see, if one process is there in the critical section, then if another process want to enter into the critical section and if it enters into the critical section, then deadlock occurs. In order to reduce that, this is one of the method. What is that? If no shared variable is there, then no need of deadlock. There is no occurrence of deadlock. So that is why no shared variable. So this mutual condition, if this mutual condition exclusion becomes false, then it can reduce the prevention. It can reduce the deadlock. So it is one of the method. Okay. So this is not practically works properly, but still it is one of the method to prevent the deadlock. And the second one is no preemption. No preemption means what? When any process is holding any resource, then it will hold that resource completely until it executes that process. It executes the same something. Okay. When one process is holding one resource, if P2 process comes, then P1 process will not give the resource which is holding by it to the P2 process. That is nothing but no preemption. No, like if higher priority process came, then this lower priority process will not leave the resource until it executes. Okay, this is nothing but no preemption. This is why deadlock may occur. Okay, if two processes tries to take up the same resource, then deadlock may occur. In order to prevent such deadlocks, preemption method is itself, we will make preemption method itself false. That is preemption. Making no preemption to preemption means if P1 process is holding any variable and if any high priority process comes, not only high priority process, any other process comes and asks about the resource which is there with P1 process, then resource is given to the P2. Directly that P2 is asking a resource and P1 will give the resource to the P2. This is how you can prevent the deadlock. This is also one of the methods, but I don't think this method is also the safest one. But these are few methods. Hold and wait. The third one is hold and wait. Hold and wait means what? If process 1 is there and if process 1 is holding some 2 resources. Let us say that process P1 is having 2 resources. It is holding 2 resources. And that time another process came and asking for one of the resources from P1. P2 process came and P2 process is asking one resource to the P1 because P1 is holding 2 resources. Though P1 uses those 2 resources or not, it is holding the resources. So that becomes a deadlock. That may create a deadlock. So in that case what happens? This hold and wait method has to become false in order to prevent the deadlock. Then what would be the fine thing? The fine thing is for each process only one resource have to be given. Means process cannot hold two resources at a time. This sometimes reduce the deadlock. This is one of the method. And the next method is circular wait. This is one of the conditions. Okay, circular wait. In circular wait what happens? It is in the circular motion. Means P1 is holding some resource and asking for another resource. P2 is holding some resource and asking for another resource. It will be in the circular motion. In last video we have discussed about circular wait. You can watch my video there. Okay, this is how circular wait will be there. So now in order to prevent a deadlock, what has to be done? This circular wait method or condition had to become false. How it will become false? We will see. See, in the right part P1 is there. P1 process is there. And we have some 3 resources, that is mouse, printer, keyboard. These are the 3 resources we are having. Okay. Now P1 process want to take printer. What is the number of the printer? Second resource. Printer is the second resource. If P1 requests for second resource printer and it is allotted to the P1 process. Okay. So next time again, not next time, after taking the printer, if P1 again want to take another resource, then P1 can take the mouse. Okay, the first one. Okay, no, not the first one. If P1 is having the printer with it, it is holding one resource printer with it, and if P1 want to take another resource, then it can take only the highest one in an increasing order. Means it can take the keyboard. So it is given wrong mark. Actually it is correct. Okay, this is not wrong. This is the correct one. Tick mark. Okay, please consider this. It is a tick mark. If P1 is holding one resource, second resource, that is printer, and if P1 requests for one more resource, then P1 can take the resource in an increasing order. That is, it can take the third number resource but not the first number resource. Okay, this is the rule. Okay, this is the rule that it can take the higher order, means increasing order resource but not the decreasing order resource. So here what happens if P1 is not taking the first resource? Circular wait condition is becoming false. This is how circular wait condition will become false. This is how it decreases the occurrence of the deadlock. Okay, so out of these 4 conditions, at least one condition has to become false. This is how it is one of the methods how to prevent a deadlock in deadlock prevention. At least one necessary conditions have to become false. Okay, this is one of the method. And the second one is deadlock detection. Deadlock detection is if a deadlock prevention and avoidance are not done properly, as deadlock may occur and only things left to do is to detect and recover from the deadlock. If you are unable to prevent the deadlock and if you are unable to recover the deadlock, then the only thing you can do is before the occurrence of the deadlock, you have to detect the deadlock. You have to uh, assume the deadlock and you have to prevent that deadlock. How will you do that? If all resource type has only one single instance, we can use a graph called wait for graph. This is one of the method. Okay, wait for graph is one of the method to avoid or to detect the deadlock. Okay, and this wait for graph is also not that useful, because if multiple instances come for a resource, then again this will form a circular wait and it may create the deadlock. So in such case, the only best algorithm is Banker's algorithm to detect the deadlock. Okay, so if at all deadlock is not prevented, if at all deadlock is not unable to clear, then that time the only thing we can do is deadlock detection. Before anything occurs, before deadlock occurs, we have to detect the deadlock and we have to kill the deadlock situation. This is in deadlock detection. And then deadlock recovery. If deadlock is detected, then what we will do? Deadlock is detected. Before deadlock occurs, we have detected the deadlock. Then what we will do? Deadlock recovery. How deadlock recovery is done? If two or more processes are asking for a single resource, then that time remaining processes, one that resource is given to one process and remaining processes will be aborted or killed. Okay, suppose three processes are there and these three processes are asking for only one resource, then that time this resource is given to one of the processes and remaining processes are killed or aborted. This is how deadlock is recovered. Whenever deadlock is occurred, then that time deadlock is recovered by killing one of the processes in a ready queue. This is how deadlock is recovered. And the last method is deadlock avoidance. So after detecting the deadlock, after recovering the deadlock, what is the final method is deadlock avoidance. Avoidance is such a kind of heuristic in nature actually. By using this strategy of avoidance, we have to make an assumption. Okay, before deadlock occurs, we have to assume that deadlock may occur and we have to avoid that deadlock. We need to ensure that all the information about the resources which process will need are known to us prior to execution of the process. That is, if process is entered in the ready queue, after entering in the ready queue, we have to assume or we have to know that how many resources are needed to that process. If we know that process, if you know that list, then those resources will be allocated to process, and if any other process come, then we will be keeping in the mind that this process P1 is having these many resources, so you cannot allot those resources to process P2. This is how we have to avoid the situation of the deadlock. This will be done by using one best algorithm called Banker's algorithm. Okay, this is a really gift to avoid deadlock situations. Okay, this is introduced by Dijkstra. He is one of the scientists. Okay, it is one of the best deadlock avoidance method. Okay, out of these things, if these are not working, if you think let's say these will definitely work in order to avoid the deadlock. But if you think these all the conditions, these all the methods are not preventing a deadlock, then the only method is deadlock ignorance. Okay. Normally, what we will do? You open a system. Okay. That time something raised and system got stuck. Will you write a program to clear the deadlock, or will you directly shut down the laptop? You will switch off the laptop and after 5 minutes again you will open the laptop. Means you are going out of the deadlock situation. Means you are not doing anything. You are just ignoring the deadlock and trying to reopen the system again. That's it. This is the best method, and many of it is a widely used technique actually. Deadlock has to be avoided. Deadlock has to be ignored. If you ignore things, then it will become less strain. Okay, this is the final method. I have not included in that in the slides, but still deadlock ignorance is one of the best method and is a widely used techniques in order to prevent the deadlock, in order to stuck in the deadlock, in order to avoid stucking in the deadlock situation. Okay, these are the few methods to handle deadlocks. Thank you.